Hey, welcome back to Holloway's Garage, you guys and girls. We're back on the C10 again. This time we got it lowered. We got the drop spindles in it, cut the coils, and we did a flip kit in the back. I'm probably gonna have to lower it a little bit more in the back, but we'll see once we get the bed on. But now, before we get the bed on, we're gonna work on this body work down here. We got rusted rockers and cab corners, so we'll go and cut them out real quick, and then tack weld some or weld up some new ones, and go from there. So let's hop in it, and we'll get this thing cut down. All right, so you can see the cab corners are, well, it's hard to see for you probably. The cab corners are rotten down here. Then we have the rockers that are pretty well shot. This side's not as bad as the other side. The inner rockers are good. So what we're going to do, we'll just cut all this out. I'm going to vacuum all this junk out of here just so we can get a good idea of what we're looking at. The lower portion of the walls on the inside are all rotted too, so I'm not worried about them right now, but I will cut out patch panels and weld those up. So easiest thing to do, this has no doors, no power in the doors, so it's easy just to pull the doors off. Takes a few seconds and gets them out of your way. So let's just clean this up real quick and we'll go from there. Here you go, we got her cleaned up pretty good. So now, let's just look at it real quick. The floors are solid. You can see down here is rotten on both sides. There's actually a little hole here. So I'll just cut a little patch panel for this. I'll cut a patch panel for that eventually. And we'll do that probably at a different time. I don't feel like getting into all that right now. I really want to just get the rockers on, cab corners, and get the bed on it so I can drive this thing around. I'm going to take a wire wheel to all this, and I'll wire wheel this out. This is all going to get cut out here, so that's not a big deal. Then there's some spot welds here. It's hard to see because it's so rusty, but I'll drill them out. I'll cut this section off here, and I'll just tack in a cab corner, and then we'll fully weld it in and around. I'm not a body man by any means, so I'm not saying this is like the way to do it, but this is the way I'm gonna do it, and we'll see how it turns out. I've done cab corners before on an older C20 I had, and it turned out pretty nice, so hopefully this will do the same. Alright, we got the rocker here. So basically what we're going to do is just see how it fits up and see what we have to cut out. rubber mallet. Why that piece is bent out. Alright, there we go. So it fits pretty good. I'm just going to trace this all out, and that way it'll give us a good outline of the rocker. Some of them actually, the other rockers I've replaced have panels that come up high, which I almost need because it feels solid though, so I should be good. So let me trace this out with a marker. Fits pretty darn good. Now this should show us kind of what we got in here. So what I can and can't cut out. Now this is solid back in here, and it's solid all through here. So I'm going to leave all that metal. I am going to cut this stuff out though, basically. So I'll cut all that out. From here down, I'll get rid of that. Looks pretty good. I mean, the rock is all good there, but that's all right. Down in here, this is all solid though, but might as well. I'll just cut all that out. And then other thing I'll have to do is cut out. I'll have to cut the inner rocker. I'll have to cut a piece of that out, or just grind it smooth. Then I'll drill holes, and that way I can come through and I can just spot weld through here on the back side through that inner rocker. So let's get cutting. I guess, let me see what we should do here. Let me pop this sucker in there first. Cut according to this. Too, after looking at them. Luckily I have it set for my blazer that I think should work for this too, so we'll see how that goes. camera died on me, but we got the rocker cut out. I'm gonna have to grind a lot of this out. Actually, I'm gonna end up just cutting this out. So I'll cut this section out too. We'll slide the rocker in. The inner was pretty rotten, so I'm just gonna get. I have one for my Blazer actually. There it is. Focus. So hopefully that'll work for this. It should. I think it's the same. So I'm gonna go grab that real quick out of the back of the Blazer. And if the inner is the same, then we can get cranking. I'll just finish cutting this out. Let's see what we got here. So we got a heck of a gap down here. We gotta fill. Well, that's because there's no inner rocker anymore. And down here, I mean, this is a crazy gap. I don't know what happened there because I literally laid this over that while I cut it. So I think I'm gonna have to just trim. I'll trim this out. That should pull it tighter than this a little bit. Get this all lined up. And now I gotta wait for outer or inner rockers. So let's order those, and then hopefully they'll get here sometime soon. Alright, so I ordered the inner for the driver's side, so we'll have to wait for that to come. What I'm gonna do here, I'm drilling out the rivets. There's not really any rivets left or spot welds, but they're hard to see. Let's see if I can show you guys then. So you have the spot welds here. I just took a smaller drill bit. It's hard to see because the lighting, but I drilled those out, and I'll drill them out with a bigger one now, and then I'll just peel this whole thing back. I'll cut along this line here. I'll put the rocker up there like I had it, and just cut my line that way. That way I don't have any gap. I should only have the blade or the disc's width gap, or the thickness of the disc, and then that way when I tack it all in, there's not really any gap. So we'll do that, and then we just have to wait for the inner rocker, and then we can install inner, outer, and the cab corner. The other side, actually, the inner rocker is in great shape. It's like, looks perfect, no rust. So maybe I'll end up just starting to tear apart the other side too, and then I'll just finish this some other time, because both sides are the same. So I'm just going to show you one side, and then I'll show you the finished product when it's all done, hopefully, and hopefully it looks half decent. We got our wire wheel, all the rust. Got the heavy stuff off, then wiped it down with some alcohol. And then I'm gonna use this stuff. I've used it before. It's called Car Steel, and this is probably like 3 years old now. I've been using it. It lasts a while. So you just shake it up a bit. see if you can get the cap off, hopefully, and then you just coat it on there, and we'll just seal all this stuff in. Doesn't take much with this stuff, and I'll just brush it on instead of spraying it, because I don't feel like masking a bunch of stuff off. So you just put it right on there, and that's it. So this will seal all the rust, any bare metal, seal it all in, and then I'll weld in the panels, and after I weld them in, there's holes in the bottom in all these Chevy trucks. They usually have rubber plugs in there, but I'm just gonna take, like, I don't know, maybe just some used motor oil or something like that, and mix it with some diesel and just spray the crap out of them, and that helps keep the rust down to a minimum. Also, won't allow it to rust anymore. So we'll get this all on there, let it dry, and then should be good to go. Alright, so we got our inner rocker. And I was playing around with this, trying to figure out how to get this to work properly. Kind of looks like this lip sits on the floorboard of the truck, so it would sit on the inside here. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to cut this top section off. It's not needed, I guess. I'm not really sure why it's there. I guess in case your floor pans are all rotten, which these are not, so that saves me some work there. So bring that out, and this will lay right over top here. And then you'd have your door seam here that would line up here. So I'm going to end up cutting a good, not a lot of this off, what I'll end up doing is I'll cut this off. I'll cut this whole entire ridge here, because this is, I guess, made so that you can weld it to the, if you had another panel here, or if that was all rotten in between, which is definitely possible in trucks from like the Northeast and all, where there's a lot of salt. So what I'm gonna do, I'll cut this off here, and that's it really. Then we'll lay this in here. I'll tack it in. I'll grind it down, tack it in, and that should get us that inside rocker. I think we're gonna have to cut a small portion of this here, and then bring it back up there. But we'll cut a little bit as we go. It's easier to cut a little bit at a time rather than try to add it afterwards. So let's get to it. Get my glasses. My hearing. Need that plugged in. Alright, not the prettiest, but gets the job done. It's real nice and rigid and solid. There's a little area here that's kind of weird. I don't really know what to do in there. I think I'll cut that out, hammer some metal, and just try to get it to form into there. That's kind of where it drains out anyway. Like the floor will drain out here, so it doesn't matter too much, honestly. But I'll just give it a try and see what I can come up with. I got this scrap metal here, so I could just take a little bend out of that and stick it in there. And I should have, looking back at this, I should have cut this section out too. But, I mean, it's all sealed, so it shouldn't rust anymore, but it would have made more sense. But, geez, this thing's solid now. So let's get the outer rocker on, which, I don't know, I think technically you should take this fender off. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to slip it right over this section here, just because I can't really get behind it to weld. So, I don't know. At least I'll have something solid there. And then I'll just drill a couple holes here and then just weld plugs through this. That way it's solid, and then I can weld all this top up. I'll get this one going, then we'll throw the cab corner on, and then we'll seal everything up again. And I'm just probably going to take Rust-Oleum or something like that after I seal it. Just spray the heck out of all this. There's a little plug you can open up. I'll just probably take a thing and just take a little like straw, hook it up to it, and just spray it all in here, just to make sure everything's covered up good. But let's get the outer on. Got it welded in there pretty dang good. Doesn't even give it all. So it looks like dog shit, but whatever. And here, couldn't weld it from the backside really, so I just drilled holes and just welded plugs in them. And I did that underneath here too. Well, there I drilled a hole and there was nothing behind it. And I got to pull this together a little closer and then do that one. But good enough for me. Now I'll throw the cab corner up there, and I got to find something to fill this gap. And then hopefully the cab corner fits properly. It looks pretty good. And that should fit. Kind of like that. I'm going to have to hammer this out or cut some of that away. Right here. But it should be pretty good. It's not completely done, but it's done enough to show you guys. There's some holes through here. I'm gonna have to just keep on popping little tacks in, and I'm gonna have to mud all this eventually anyway. There's a gap down here. I gotta figure out what to do to fill that. I might just try to bend the metal out from the cab closer to that and close up the gap. Overall, it's not fancy. It's not like a professional did it, but it was my first job doing the rockers, so I'm happy enough with it, I guess. This is frustrating here, not lining up, so I'm gonna have to tap all this back in. For some reason, it's out a bit. And these panels, you know, like they're from China or whatever, or Taiwan. That pulled it in some. And honestly, this thing's low, so you're not going to see the rockers much on it, as much as like a lifted truck. But yeah, the panels don't fit perfect, being from China and or Taiwan or wherever the hell they're from. But overall, I think it turned out good. You know, we got rid of the rust and the rot. So I'll see how it looks with the door on there, and it should really show me all the imperfections of where I don't have it lined up properly and stuff. So I'm sure we're gonna could have some clearance issues, but hopefully it's good to go. Next, I'll do the other side. I'm not going to videotape that because it's the same thing. It's actually going to be easier though, because I only have to do the outer rocker. I don't have to do the inner rocker also, because the other side is actually in really good shape. So that's a plus. I should have tackled that side first and then worried about the harder side second, but you know, that's how it worked out. But yeah, that's it. I'll get this done. I'll mud it up a little bit, just do a little bit of body work to it and paint it. I'm gonna try to keep it kind of like a shitty white looking color. So we'll see how I can figure that out with the paint, and then kind of make it blend. And then we'll go ahead, we'll get the bed on this bad boy, and I think I got a misfire with the engine. One of the cylinders isn't firing, it seems like, or a little, I don't know, is off a little bit, so I'm gonna have to figure that out. Just probably check the plugs, check the injector on that cylinder, and hopefully that's all it is, something simple. And that's it. And then we can just start driving this thing around. I'll get some tags for her. We'll be good to go. All right. Got it all ground down. There's no holes. Oh, there's a few little tiny ones. I have to tack again, fill them in. But yep, you know what they say. Grinder and paint will make you the welder you ain't. 'Cause I ain't no welder. That's for dang sure. Especially not body work. But she's in there. No flex at all. So that's nice and solid. So yeah, now I'll prime it. We'll mud it, and just try to get everything kind of straight looking and look half decent. And that's it really. So there we go. One side done. We'll move on to the other one. It's getting kind of late. We'll move on to the other one tomorrow and get it cut out. That one should be cake compared to this one. So let's get her done. episode. Hopefully you learned something, or learn what not to do maybe. So this is my first time tackling rockers on one of these square bodies, and it's pretty simple for the most part. Just getting those foreign cheap panels to line up is a little tough sometimes, but for this I'm not worried about it. It's not some kind of show truck or anything. It's just something I just want to rip around and have, even if it looks shitty, at least there's no rust in it. So that's a plus. And yeah, we're just scooting along on this C10 project. So hopefully you like what you saw. If you did, hit that thumbs up button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. And there's a bell or notification button you can hit whenever I post a new video. It'll pop up. And it really helps me out if you guys do hit these likes and comment, or especially if you subscribe, because the closer I get to being monetized, the better my camera equipment and stuff like that can be, and I can work on getting mics, cameras, that kind of stuff, and kind of focus on that for you guys. It's a little tough with this. I got a cheap China camera off of Amazon, and it doesn't work very well, but it works well enough, I guess. But thanks for checking it out. And then also you'll see this truck here and there. It's a 71 C10, and I have plans for this eventually too. I got a cab for it, and I'm probably going to do a full-on like frame off restoration on this. So it's good to learn some bodywork skills and stuff on some of these other projects where it doesn't matter too much. Where something like this, if I want to make it super nice and like a show truck one day, then I can have work on my skills to do that. But thanks for checking out this episode, and have a good one, guys and girls.